Alright, so today I will be flying from KLAX, Los Angeles, to KSFO, San Francisco. I'll be flying this Airbus A320 Neo, and I'll be starting the aircraft cold and dark, meaning the aircraft is completely off. I'm going to have to set up all the systems, turn everything on manually, enter my flight plan manually, and yeah, it's going to be fun. So let's hop in the cockpit and let's get this started. So first things first, we need to turn on the batteries. So let's jump to the overhead panel and get that started. So it's a little dark, but I'll manage. So battery 1, battery 2 on. Let's turn on the external power and get this panel lit up. There you go. Let's jump back here. Get the PFD brightness up, the NDS brightness up, jump to the middle and get these two ECAN screens in the middle here. Get the autopilot panel lit up. And over here somewhere there's the, yeah, there you go, the floodlight. Let's get the integrated light on for the center console and the floodlight for the center console, or for the ECANs, and the floodlight for the center console. Okay, let's go up top. Turn on our IDIRS. I'll explain what this is in a bit. Sorry, back up to the panel. Forgot one thing. Oxygen supply for the crew. We need to arm our emergency lights. Non-smoking on auto. Seatbelt we will leave off for now because we don't put seatbelts on when we're fueling for safety reasons. We have to put our strobes on auto and our navigation lights on auto. We're gonna go back to the default view. We're gonna go over here to the left. There's a tablet. It's called a EFB in real life, an electronic flight bag, and it just displays critical mission information such as your flight plan, which is what we're gonna look at right now. So let me just type in my username here. Alright, let's grab my flight plan from SimBrief. There you go. So KLAX to KSFO. So if we go over here to dispatch and to OFP, this is the operational flight plan. So we're gonna start fueling now. So over here it'll say block fuel. So at LAX we're gonna fuel up 4,735 kilograms of fuel. So right now I think we're a little over, or a lot over. So we're at 9,524 kilograms of fuel, or 9,521. We have to be at 4,735. So let's defuel a little bit. Okay, it'll take 7 minutes to defuel. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's go to the MCDU over here. So this is the flight computer, basically. This is the main computer for your navigation right here. This is where you put in your waypoints. This is where you put in your performances, and this is where you get your weather reports and all that. So I'll show you how we set this up. So first we're going to activate the FMGC, which is the Flight Management Guidance Computer. So let's do that. Next we're going to go to init, which is initialization. We're going to put in our departure and arrival airports. So our departure airport is KLAX. We have to put a slash since there's a slash right there. And our arrival airport is KSFO. And we're just going to hit this button here to punch that in. There are no flight plans stored on board for this trip in this aircraft, but that's okay because we're using our own flight plan. We're gonna put our flight number in, which in this case is Alpha Bravo 39er. It says flight number in use, but let's clear that error message. There you go, Alpha Bravo 39er. Next, we're going to align the IRS, or initialize IRS, and then align it. So the IRS is a inertial reference system. It works together with the GPS system of the aircraft to get a more accurate position of the aircraft. So I'm going to align the IRS on reference, and confirm align. All right, and next we're going to put in our cost index. So we're going to return. So this is our cost index right here. That can also be viewed over at the tablet right here in the operational flight plan. And that will be right here, this bit of information, CI5. So cost index 5, return to the MCDU, just simply put 5, and then punch it in right here. Our cruise flight level is the flight level that we are cruising at, of course. So that is also in our flight plan, and it is written right over here. So flight level steps, and then 380. So flight level 380 is 38,000 feet. So let's go to the MCDU and type in FL380. Put that in here, and it'll automatically calculate the outside temperature at that flight level. Go to the next page. So the zero fuel weight and the zero fuel weight center of gravity is automatically calculated by the airplane. That's the calculation right there. Put it in, puts it on automatically. The block fuel is our 4735 number, except thousands dot hundreds. So 4.735. We put that in here, and it rounds it down to 4.7. All right, so we can now go to our MCDU right here, MCDU menu. We can go to ATSU. That's just my fuel stuff appearing. Go to the AOC menu. Now we're going to request our weather report for KLAX and KSFO. So right over here, click on WX request. For these two airports, send. So this is message sent. So we sent a message to our company asking for a weather report. And right here in a couple seconds, it'll appear company message. Let me just turn the brightness of this up. All right, company message received. So we can go back, go to receive messages, METAR, and then print it. And it'll print down here out of this little slot. After it's done printing, we can grab it, put it back up here, and it'll be right next to your MCDU, accessible at, when we need it. Okay, so once we're done printing the weather, now we are going to go into the flight plan and punch in our flight plan. So this screen shows you your flight plan. So right now we have a very simple flight plan, a direct one. So taking off KLAX, arriving at KSFO, but we need more than that. We need a flight plan through the sky that avoids certain areas, terrain, etc. So at KLAX, we are taking off runway 25R. So we can click from this screen, we can click on KLAX, departure, scroll down, 25R, select it. And in our flight plan, we are using the SID Dark 3. So a SID is basically I think it's a standard instrument departure, which means aircrafts have several SIDs, so for each runway. So basically, if you're going north, there's a certain route, a preset route you take to avoid terrain and other airports, residential areas and stuff. So basically, the one we're using for this flight is Dark 3. And we are doing it via the Ryzen waypoint, Ryzen, whatever that is. Click on that. So now we have our departure, runway 25R. Our SID is Dark 3, and our transition is Ryzen. So we can insert that. As we can see, a bunch of waypoints have appeared here. That's the start of our route. The user waypoint can be cleared. You don't need that one. There you go. So after our SID, we can begin manually putting in the waypoints in between LAX and KSFO. At KSFO, there will be something called a STAR, which is a standard terminal arrival, which is like a SID, but for arriving at an airport. It puts you on a glide path to a runway, lining you up with the runway, so you don't have to do it manually. So we're going to put the waypoints to that star right now, and then I'll show you how to put in the star. So our last waypoint here is, what is it? Horizon, of course, right? So after Horizon is the waypoint RZS. So what we do here simply is type in RZS, and then we click on KSFO. Whenever you put in a waypoint manually, you need to click on the arriving airport so that it puts it above it. Click there, it found the waypoint, click on it, and then just insert it. And then the next waypoint is GVO, which is Gaviota. I know that mountain. You click on KSFO, Gaviota, insert it. And then we have GLJ. Scroll up, KSFO, insert it. MQO, so in this case, two waypoints came up. One is 6,000 miles away, one is 141 miles away. The one we're using is obviously 141 miles away. Sometimes there's duplicate waypoints, sometimes there's even 3 or 4 of the same name, but you will usually know, depending on your route, which waypoint you need to select. So we're going to select that one. I think we can put our star, which is our standard terminal arrival. And our standard terminal arrival, this flight is, let's see, our arrival, we are landing on runway 28R, and we're using ILS, which is Instrument Landing System. Click on that. BSR. Okay, and then click insert, and that I think is our flight plan. Let me just double check up here. So over here on the switch, you can click this to plan, and if you zoom out and if you use these arrows near the MCDU, you can go along your plan just to make sure that everything looks right and that there's no waypoints out in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, and everything looks good. So right here is where our star starts. See how it veers, and then it do a slow churn, and you line yourself up with the runway for landing. So now our flight plan is done. We can start. We can now go to our performance page here. Let me zoom in. This will be our takeoff performance. Now I did these calculations on a website earlier, but I'll explain to you what all these numbers mean here. So basically, your V1 for takeoff, we are taking off runway 25R. So when we're lined up, taking off, this is the speed. So V1 is the speed of no return. This is the speed that you have to take off at, because at this speed you don't have enough runway left to stop safely. So mine was 141 knots. VR is your rotational speed. That's when you start lifting the nose of the aircraft and taking off, and mine is 146. V2 is your safe climbing speed. That's the speed that you are safe to ascend at and not stall or fall out of the sky, basically. So mine is 151 knots. Transition altitude is the altitude that you transition from QNH, or is it from QNH to standard? So, well, right now, so 29.92 is standard pressure. But for example, it could be 3001 at the airport, at ground level. So once you get it above a certain altitude, you switch it to standard, which would be 2992, I would click here, and it would switch to standard above 6,000 feet. So let's go down here. So basically, I'm pretty sure in America it's 6,000 feet. In Europe, I know it's 18,000 feet, but today we'll do 6,000 feet. Our flaps setting will be 1/1 up. 99% of the time, unless it's a very short runway or something, you are taking off with flaps 1 in an Airbus A320neo. So we're going to put it up there. Our flex temperature is so this aircraft has a feature that over here on the throttle you can see, you can set it to flex. So toga is takeoff, that's maximum throttle, but flex is a feature where you can save fuel by having less throttle using these calculations a bit lower right here, but I'm not going to use that for this flight. So now we're finished with our FMS setup here, and we can go to our autopilot and punch in that information. But first, I'm going to have to contact the tower, or I'm going to have to contact clearance and delivery and ask for my clearance so they can tell me my climbing altitude, what altitude I need to climb at initially. So the clearance channel here is 120.35. So this is a standby and this is active. So I have to switch this over. And now I can ask. Alpha Bravo 39er ready for IFR clearance.
39er is cleared to Kilo Sierra Foxtrot Oscar. Climb via the Derek 2 departure with the Stoke transition that is filed. Expect departure runway 25 right. Climb to 17,000 feet via the departure. Expect higher clearances 10 minutes after departure. Departure on 124.3. Squawk 3364.
Okay, so I need to remember all that stuff, and I need to do a readback to him so that the tower knows that I understood them and that all the information is correct. So basically, 39er is cleared to Kilo Sierra Foxtrot Oscar. Climb via the Dark 2 departure with the Stoked transition. Then as filed. Climb to 17,000 feet via the departure. Expect higher clearances 10 minutes after departure. Departure on 124.3. Squawk 3364. Alpha Bravo 39er.
AB 39er read back correct. Altimeter 3001, contact ground on 121.4 when ready for pushback. Good day.
Alright, so we're cleared for IFR. So now he told us that we have to climb to 17,000 feet, which is 17,000 feet. So we can go to the center panel here and put this to 17,000 feet. Alright, so now this center panel is set up, this one. So our speed will be automatic. Our heading will be automatic since it's autopilot. And our climbing altitude is set. So now we can turn on our flight director on both sides here. We can now turn on our fuel pumps, which are up here. I'm going to turn on our beacon. Oops, it's already on. Because we are about to start the APU, the auxiliary power unit, and then after that we're going to start the engines. So the beacon basically tells the ground crew and the tower that we're starting our engines. Fuel pumps on. We need to turn on our seatbelt sign now. We are going to turn on our APU master switch, which is right here. Wait 3 seconds. And press APU start. And now we can look down here at the APU data. So the APU is basically a little jet engine in the tail, like a tiny jet engine in the tail of the aircraft. It's like a generator. So at the very start, I had to connect the aircraft to external power, which is basically plugging the aircraft into the airport so that it has the power for electricity. Now the APU allows the aircraft to be independent of external power until the aircraft's main engines are on, because the aircraft could have its own power if the main engines were on while standing on the ground, but it would be a huge waste of fuel and dangerous to the ground crew. So this APU is what runs the electronics on board while the main engines are off. So as you can see now, it's generating electricity and it's set available. So now we can go back over to the overhead panel and we can press APU bleed, which is right here. Now we press that APU bleed and we wait 5 to 10 seconds. You can hear the sounds of the aircraft changing. When we're good, we can press external power off, and now the aircraft is independent of the ground. So the aircraft is powering itself under its own power. So now we can return to our view here, and we can ask ATC if we are ready for engine start. Alpha Bravo 39er, ready for engine start. There you go.
39er engine start approved.
Okay, so engine start approved. So now we can go to the center console here, down here. Let me get a better view. All right, so right here, we're gonna do two things here. Turn on the engines and set our transponder. So first things first, push this to start, ignition start, and turn both engines on. And now we can look at the center screens and we can see that the engines are powering up. While they are, let's go back here and set our transponder. So this needs to be flipped to Tara. This needs to be flipped to auto instead of standby. And then our squawk code for the transponder was squawk 3364. 3364. And now our transponder is set. Let's look at how our engines are doing. You have to make sure that they're stable and climbing good, that the temperatures are good, exhaust gas temperatures are good, N2 is good. And when they both say available, which should be in 2 seconds, yep. And then the engines are good. And you can hear the AC start up there, the air conditioning. Okay, so now that the engines are started, we can ask for taxi clearance. Alpha Bravo 39er, ready to taxi to runway 25 right.
39er taxi to runway 25 right via taxiways Charlie, Charlie 1, Bravo, hold short runway 25 right.
Taxi to runway 25 right via taxiways Charlie, Charlie 1, Bravo, hold short runway 25 right, Alpha Bravo 39er. Okay, so I read that back to him, and now we are ready to taxi. So our runway is over here, and I'm gonna have to call the tug, and now I have to ask ground for tug clearance. Alpha Bravo 39er, ready for pushback.
39er pushback approved.
Okay, so pushback approved. I'm gonna take off my handbrake. I'm going to call the tug over. I can do it using this tablet. Okay, he's in position, so I can ask for a pushback. And since we need to be facing over there, I'm going to ask at a certain point, I'm going to ask for a pushback to the left. Okay, can start pushing back to the left. Ask him to stop and call the tug away. When he's out of the way, I can proceed and taxi. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the throttle up, and when I start to hit about 10 knots, I'm going to put the throttle to idle, because these engines have more than enough power to move themselves at idle. So I'm going to do that. But first, what I'm going to do is I am going to do a flight control test. So I'm going to go down here to center, go flight control. I'm going to test my elevators, test my ailerons. Good. The rudder, it's good. And then the ground spoilers, which are down here. Okay, 6 arrows up, that's good. Put the spoilers back in position and arm them. And ground spoilers armed. Good. Okay, we have to put the auto brake to max. We have to do the cabin checks, but I'm gonna do this right before we take off, because right now we're not taking off yet. Our flaps configuration, remember we put it to 1, right? So we have to put the flaps to 1. So when we get to when we hold short of the runway, I'm going to do the cabin check, and then we'll be good to go. One more thing, let's lock the cabin so no one gets in, and we are good to go. And now I'm just going to taxi to the end of runway 25 right. Just gonna switch this back to the arc and zoom in a little bit, like that. Gonna turn my constraints on, which I'll explain later. Once we start going a little too fast, we can give it some brakes, slow down a little bit, because we don't want to go too fast. Stay on the taxi line. Okay, we're going to turn here and hold short of runway 25R. Right here. Okay, so now I have to contact the tower to ask for clearance to take off. Alpha Bravo 39er, ready for departure, runway 25 right.
39er winds are 158 at 5 knots, cleared for takeoff, runway 25 right.
Okay, so I'm cleared for takeoff. I don't know what you said, winds instead of winds. That's interesting. Landing lights on. I know we're not landing, but that's how it is. Takeoff lights on. We're good. Cabins checks are good.
Cabin crew, CP take off.
And we can start getting onto the runway to take off. Okay, so I have to keep my eye on the speed right here. So remember, our V1 is 141, our V2 is 146, and our VR is 146, and our V2 is 151. So once I hit 141, that's the point of no return. Once I hit 146, I have to rotate, and once I hit 151, I have to, I'm good to climb. So full throttle. $100, 120, so V1, 141, and then roll. Okay. Smooth takeoff, 500 feet, landing gear up. Oops. Flaps down to 0. we can put the throttle lever into auto. I'll show you what I mean here. So right here, we're at Toga takeoff. There's a CL.
Contact SoCal departure on 124.3. Have a good morning.
So I'm going to put the lever down into CL. You can hear that click. And now the plane has auto throttle. So we're going to climb to 5,000 feet, and then we're going to turn autopilot on. Departure on 124.3 Alpha Bravo 39er. Okay, so I have to tune to 124.3. Alpha Bravo 39er is at 5,000 feet, climbing 17,000 feet.
AB39er descend and maintain 5,000 feet until passing Echo Victor Oscar Sierra Echo.
Okay. So 5,000 feet. Set the autopilot on so that it knows 5,000 feet. And then we are good. It's weird because it said flight level, 7,000 feet, which is 17,000 feet when I was taking off. But I guess there's a airspace restriction up there for some reason, but oh well. You can see LAX down there and Santa Monica, and then to the left Malibu.
AB39er maintain 17,000 feet.
Maintain 17,000 feet, Alpha Bravo 39er. Alright, so let's climb now to our original flight level. So the constraints that I was talking about is right here. So this button shows at how much feet each of your each waypoint, how many feet you have to be up. So that's what constraints do. So if we look at the center screen here, we can zoom out and look at our whole flight plan.
AB39er contact Los Angeles Center on 135.5. Have a good morning.
And you can see all the way over here is San Francisco. Okay. Contact Los Angeles Center on 135.5. Take care, Alpha Bravo 39er. Okay, so 135.5. Okay, we're already on it. Alpha Bravo 39er is at 9,000 feet, climbing 17,000 feet.
39er, good morning. Radar contact.
It's Thousand Oaks down there, I'm guessing.
AB39er resume climb to 17,000 feet.
Resume climb to 17,000 feet, Alpha Bravo 39er. So it's telling me here, predictive wind shear, pred WS off, and pred WS is predictive wind shear. So down here, I can set that to auto, and now that notification went away.
Level 180.
Climb and maintain flight level 180, Alpha Bravo 39er. Okay, 180 is 18,000 feet, so let's bump that up by 1,000 feet. That's LA over there.
AB 39er climb and maintain flight level 180.
Climb and maintain flight level 180 Alpha Bravo 39er. Oh, and that's Point Mugu down there. Oxnard. Ventura. So we're 28 miles from our next waypoint, which is Horizon. Alpha Bravo 39er is at flight level 180.
39er radar contact.
What's weird is that I'm not going up to my cruising altitude of 38,000 feet, flight level 380, but I guess because it's such a short flight. Oh well, I'll just follow what the air traffic control says and let them decide. Oh yes, I need to do one more thing here. So down here at the MCDU, for our ILS approach, which is an instrument landing system, we need to put in a frequency. When you line up for the glide path, when you line yourself up with the runway, you use a radio on the aircraft to home in on radio on the corresponding runway to center yourself to the runway. So let's see, yes, so that ILS frequency is already in here, so 111.70, that's good. Another thing we need to do here is go to performance, and using the METAR we printed off before, enter this data for the approach to ILS 28R. So our QNH is 3010. 3010.
AB 39er contact Los Angeles Center on 119.05. Have a nice day.
Contact Los Angeles Center on 119.05 Alpha Bravo 39er. Okay, so 119.05. Alpha Bravo 39er is at flight level 180.
39er, good morning. Radar contact.
Okay, so our QNH was 3010. And our temperature is right here, 18/13. We use 18. So 18 degrees. Our magnitude of wind is 5 knots at a bearing of 310. So you put 310
AB
slash
39er, you are
05.
off course. Turn right heading 322 to return to course.
Okay. Our transition altitude is 6,000 feet, like we put in for the departure. We will do full flaps for landing. Our barometer is 331.
AB 39er, turn right heading 322.
Turn right heading 322 Alpha Bravo 39er. Alright, so we can return, and that's that done. So that basically gives the aircraft an idea of the weather conditions on its approach. And we are not off course. Basically, sometimes the ATC system I use doesn't agree with the flight simulator route, but I just ignore it. But I think I can set that somewhere in the settings, so that shouldn't be a problem. So there was 2 waypoints earlier that I deleted from the ATC, but those waypoints aren't in the ATC right now. But I think she thinks that I should have taken those waypoints anyways, even though they're not supposed to be there anymore. So I'm gonna see what happens, because yeah, I'm not supposed to take those waypoints anymore. Over here, right underneath the plane, you can see Bealton. And then over here is Lompoc. And over here is Santa Maria, and we're gonna pass over Santa Maria Airport, which is right there. You can barely see it. And over here, can't see it, but Santa Barbara, Channel Islands. This is Solvang. Do you see that? You see that flash right there? That's Santa Ynez Airport. This is Santa Ynez, Los Olivos. Over here is Vandenberg Air Force Base. You can see the flashing of Lompoc Airport right there. Those tiny flashing lights. I guess she shut up because I guess I'm back on course now. I think it was 1 or 2 waypoints I deleted that were a bit to the north. So, but now I'm back on course. So I think everything's good. Turn the speed up a bit so we can expedite our flight here. And yeah, down here you can see Santa Maria Airport and Santa Maria. Guadalupe is right here, and one of the points is GLJ, which is Guadalupe. And the next waypoint after that is MQO, which is Morro Bay in San Luis Obispo County. So yeah, so you just hit Guadalupe. And that point is somewhere right here because the airplane just slightly turned. You can see Pismo Beach right here. And Avila Beach is right here. This is San Luis Obispo. And the 101 just snakes its way through like that. Or 101 like this, and then the Highway 1 splits off, the Pacific Coast Highway splits off and goes all along this mountain range all the way to San Francisco. That's the Avila Beach Pier. And our next waypoint is Morro Bay, which is right here with the big Morro Rock. You can see it already.
AB 39er resume navigation.
Resume navigation, AB 39er.
39er radar contact.
So our next waypoint is Big Sur in 71 nautical miles. You can see that right here.
AB 39er expect the BSR-3 arrival with the BSR transition for the ILS approach to runway 28 right at San Francisco International. After Surfer cleared direct Big Sur.
Expect the BSR-3 arrival with the BSR transition for the ILS approach to runway 28 right after Surfer, cleared direct, Big Sur, Alpha Bravo 39er. Yeah, so there's Morro Rock and Morro Bay. And after this point, the cities get smaller and smaller, all the way up until San Francisco. Right over here you can see the fuel used. So we've used 407 kilograms in both engines, 408, and the fuel on board, FOB, 4720. So we're still very good on fuel. It's designed to have much more fuel than you need in case you need to hold a pattern or divert to a different airport. So on this tablet over here, we can actually do some calculations. So right now you can see right here this number, so flight plan, 161 right here. That's a distance to KSFO, San Francisco. So if we go to performance, and we type in 3,000 feet is the altitude needed for ILS. So if we synchronize our current altitude, it is 18,000 feet. So we have to start our descent about 47 nautical miles from KSFO in order to reach 3,000 feet at a standard descent rate
At
of 3
39er,
degrees.
contact Oakland Center on 126.9er. Enjoy your morning.
Contact Oakland Center on 126.9er, Alpha Bravo 39er. Alpha Bravo 39er is at flight level 180.
39er, good morning. Radar contact.
Okay, so as I was saying, at a slope of 3 degrees is a standard descent. I'm gonna have to start descending at 47 nautical miles before target. But I'm pretty sure ATC will tell me to do that ahead of time. We're hitting some turbulence now. Heading 334 Alpha Bravo 39er. Yeah, I'm off course by like a tiny bit. They're very picky. I think more picky than even in real life, because I think I have my tolerance set to 0 feet in the ATC application, so I need to change that, because I'm off by maybe like, I don't know, like 20 feet. So we have some turbulence, so I'm gonna go up here. Oh, and I completely forgot to turn off the seatbelt light, so my passengers have been strapped in this whole flight. Okay, well, I'll keep it on for now because it's turbulence right now. As you can see, we have a headwind of 23 knots, and the aircraft's shaking pretty good right now. Yeah, you can see the wings flexing pretty good. But the wings are designed to do that, so that's completely fine.
Francisco International.
Descent.
39er, contact Oakland Center on 127.45. Enjoy.
Contact Oakland Center on 127.45, Alpha Bravo 39er. So the change them manually, so 127.4. Alpha Bravo 39er is at flight level 180.
39er, good morning. Radar contact. Continue descent via the BSR-3 arrival. For the ILS approach to runway 28 right at San Francisco International. AB 39er, resume navigation.
Resume navigation, AB 39er.
39er, radar contact. Continue descent via the BSR-3 arrival. For the ILS approach to runway 28 right at San Francisco International.
So she told me altimeter 3012. So, and to descend to 3,000 feet.
AB 39er contact center on 127.45.
Contact center on 127.45, Alpha Bravo 39er. Alpha Bravo 39er is at flight level 180.
39er, good morning. Radar contact. Altimeter 3011.
So they want me to descend to 3,000 feet, but I don't know about that. And turbulence is pretty crazy, but let's descend to 3,000 feet slowly and see what happens. And once we hit 6,000 feet, I'll switch it back over to, instead of standard, I'll switch back over to manual, QNH. This turbulence is pretty crazy, actually. Altimeter 3011, Alpha Bravo 39er. So you can see Carmel right there, Carmel Highlands and Carmel by the sea. And right over here is Monterey. And you can actually see the famous Laguna Seca racetrack. I think it's right here. Right over here. It's the Laguna Seca racetrack. Then you have Salinas and some other towns. Monterey right below us. The famous 17-mile drive on the coast here. And Santa Cruz is over here with some marine layer over it right now. So let's see how many miles we are from San Francisco. So 71 miles from the airport, and we need to start our descent 17 miles before, so keeps decreasing and decreasing. So that means that we are getting lower earlier, which is good, which is what traffic control wants us to do, so we'll just listen to them. Our next waypoint is Skunk, and after that, Boulder. And that's where we start our deceleration as well. Once we hit 6,000 feet, I'm going to double check the altimeter with them. Alpha Bravo 39er, say altimeter.
39er altimeter is 3010 at Monterey Bay Academy.
Okay, 3010. So we're at basically 6,000 feet, so I'm going to switch back from standard. And 3010. That's just the alarm telling me that I was off altitude because my altimeter was, but there you go, it goes away. My flight plan tells me right now to be at 12,000 feet, which I think is right because there's mountains right here. If it gets dangerous, if I notice that these mountains are like right there and I can't get over them, then I'll manually set my altitude to get over them and then resume ATC's instructions. There's Santa Cruz and Santa Cruz Pier below me right here. Alright, so right here you can see on the screen our constraints. So you can see right here I should be at 6,000 feet, 5,000 feet, 4,000 feet, 3,000 feet, 1,800 feet. So actually go ahead and zoom in a little bit just so we can see those constraints more clearly. Our next waypoint is 11 miles away, Boulder. So they're going to ask me at any time now to switch over to approach, and then I'll ask them if I'm cleared to approach, do an ILS approach at runway 28 right.
AB39er contact NorCal approach on 128.32. Have a good morning.
Approach on 128.32 Alpha Bravo 39er. Alpha Bravo 39er inbound at 6,000 feet. Request ILS approach to runway 28 right.
39er, good morning. Radar contact. Continue descent via the BSR-3 arrival with the BSR transition. Expect the ILS approach to runway 28 right at San Francisco International, altimeter 3012.
3012. So I'm going to set my altimeter here to 3012. And then confirm with her, read back. Expecting the ILS approach to runway 28 right at San Francisco International, Alpha Bravo 39er. There's the Bay Area. We're going to turn around here soon and start our approach. So before here in the center console, I put in a radio frequency, or it was already in there. And that is for the runway 28R, and I'll show you how that works when we're facing the airport in a second here. Starting our churn now. And we are, let's see, 42 miles from destination. We have to start our descent at 9 miles, but honestly I think we'll be good with following ATC's instructions, and also this flight plan shows us 6,000, 5,000, 4,000, 3,000, and then so on. I'm going to see if the plane does it by itself between these points. If not, then I'll have to do it manually. Because sometimes, I mean, it's a flight simulator. It's not perfect sometimes, so we'll see what happens. Watch and see if it hits 5,000 feet after this 6,000 mark, because I'm at 6,000 right now. Let me move the range a little bit out in here, so we have closest in zoom. Okay, so this bracket here turned purple, meaning that that's the flight plan altitude. So it locked onto what this altitude should be. So it should lower to 5,000 after hitting this 6,000 point. So is it gonna go down? Didn't go down, and I have to be at 5,000 feet right now. So I'm just gonna descend to 3,000 feet manually.
Heading 235 vectors to the ILS approach for runway 28 right at San Francisco International.
Heading 235 vectors to the ILS approach for runway 28 right, Alpha Bravo 39er. So right here I have to be at 3,000 feet. And right there I almost hit it perfect, 4,000 feet, so I'm good. So right about now I'm facing the runway. You can see the runways. I'm going to turn on my ILS localizer, so you can see down here that frequency 111.7, and it knows that the airport is about 20 miles away. Let me zoom in right here. So basically when I'm facing the airport, horizontally, when this diamond lines up, I need to hit lock, this button on the right. When I horizontally line up, when I'm close enough onto the glide slope, I'll hit approach, this button on the right here. And right about now, I'm gonna start slowing down. And see it's coming up, the triangle, the diamond, the purple diamond coming up. So I'm gonna hit lock when it makes contact with that yellow line. Okay. And over here you can see it says lock with a star and cat 3 single. I'm going to use flaps 1 to try to slow down the aircraft a little quicker. Okay, it's working. Now this diamond coming down right here is approach. So once that hits the yellow line, I will hit approach. Okay. And come on. Yeah, I think I got it, because you see how the aircraft starts going to glide slope by itself, so it got it. So I'm gonna go flaps 2 now. Make sure spoilers are armed. Okay, they're good. Slow down to, yes, 150 is good for now. I think our landing speed is 129. Actually, let's go down to 145.
2,500.
There you go. Make sure seatbelts are on. Landing lights are on. Okay. Do the cabin calls.
Cabin crew seats for landing, please.
Landing gear down now. And brakes, auto brakes on medium. Okay. And flaps on full. As you can see, I'm perfectly lined up with the runway using the category 3. See that diamond perfectly lined up, glide slope perfectly lined up, and I am facing perfectly at the runway. Over here, if I zoom in, you can see these
1,000.
lights. I think they're called poppy lights. So basically 4 whites means you're too high, 4 reds means you're too low, 2 whites and 2 reds means perfect. So I'm at a perfect height right now. So at about 500 feet, I will turn off autopilot and I'll land manually. So this system is just to, there are some systems that can auto land for you and even brake for you and steer for you, but I'm gonna land manually at about 500 feet. So let's slow down a little more here. About 130.
400.
Okay, in a second here.
300. Minimum.
Okay, minimum means if I don't see the runway, I have to go around again, but I see the runway. It's not that cloudy.
200.
Okay, release autopilot right
100.
now.
50. 40. 30. 20. 10. 5.
There you go. Good landing. The airplane brakes automatically, like I said. We're gonna do reverse thrust, and at 60 we're gonna release reverse thrust back to idle. Okay, reverse thrust off, and ask for a taxi. Alpha Bravo 39er, request taxi to the gate. Alright, well that's it. And yeah, it's really satisfying setting up this aircraft from cold and dark all the way to from the airport to another airport. So yeah, I'll do another flight soon. Let's turn this off. Engines off. And that's it. Thank you for watching if you did.